Let's discuss the basics of Java tutorial 9. In this tutorial, we would be discussing about arrays. The topics that are covered in this tutorial are arrays. We would be discussing about single dimensional arrays, multi-dimensional arrays, and also how the arrays used in the loops. Coming to the definition of an array is a group of variables of same primitive data types with a fixed size. The size of an array is also called an array dimension. The size of array is the number of variables present in an array or the number of variables that it can store. An array is used to hold the values of primitive data types integer, short, long, float, etc. An array can also hold reference to a class and its subclasses. We will be discussing about objects, classes, and references in more depth in the next tutorial. The values stored in an array are called array elements, and these can be accessed using associated index. In Java, the index of an array starts with 0. All the arrays are objects, and the array variables are the references to the array objects. Since arrays are objects, we have to construct the array object using new keyword to store the values. An array can be of single dimension or multi-dimension. That means an array can be used to store the values in linear fashion or in a matrix form. The default value that will be set for an array which is of primitive type will be 0. In case of objects, the default value at the time of construction of an array will be null. One-dimensional arrays. One-dimensional array thereby incrementing the variable pass count to 1. And finally, we are printing the number of students who passed and the number of students who failed in the examination. Let's use the example which has been discussed earlier and run it using Eclipse. As you see, the same example has been written here. Here I have already created a project, tutorial 9, and the class single-dim example under the package tutorial9.example. The example is placed in the main method. As you see, in the last line, we are performing arithmetic operation on two variables, pass count and total count, enclosed within the parenthesis. If we remove the parenthesis, the compiler would show error and complain about the arithmetic operation. Let's remove the parenthesis and check the output. We can see the compilation error on the left side as the operator is undefined for the argument type string. We can check over the error icon which says the operator minus is undefined for the argument type string int. The addition operator will append the total count to the string, and finally the subtraction operation will be performed on the string and variable pass count, which is not valid. Let's enclose the subtraction operation within the parentheses and run this program. As you see, there is no error. Let's run the program. Run as Java application. On console, you can see the marks obtained by a student with roll numbers 0 to 6, and in the last two lines the number of students passed in the exam are 4, and in the following line the number of students failed in the examination are 3. If you examine the array, we have 45, 32, 41 and 26, which are greater than 25, which is evaluated in the for loop, and the value of pass count is set to 4, which is the number of students passed in the examination being printed on the console. We have seen that in first section and the number of students who passed in second section is calculated using the two variables pass count A and pass count B, and finally we are printing the number of students who get passed in section A using system.out.println. Let's run the example discussed above in Eclipse. Here we are printing the number of students passed in section A and the number of students passed in section B using the two variables pass count A and pass count B. Let's run our program. Run. As you see in the console output, the number of students passed in section A are 4 and the number of students passed in section B are 5. This output is based on the logic performed by the if statement. As you see, for the first array we have 45 greater than 25, 32 greater than 25, 41 greater than 25 and 26 greater than 25, which is rightly indicated as the number of students passed in section A to be 4. In this if statement, we are checking that the first student belongs to first section using I equal to 0, and the second expression checks whether the marks obtained is greater than 25, and if this happens, the counter is incremented by 1. Similarly, we are incrementing the number of students in section B who have passed the examination using the expression I equal to 1, which checks that the students belong to section 2, that is section B, and the second expression marks ij greater than 25, which evaluates that the marks obtained are greater than 25 and the counter is incremented by 1, which is the counter for section B. In this tutorial, we have learnt that arrays are used to store values of a particular type using indices. Arrays can be considered as in-memory database which lives till the program is executing, and the two-dimensional arrays are commonly used and can be used to solve the mathematical problems related to matrices. You can have your hands on in creating a Java class which performs the multiplication operation of two matrices as shown below. You can use array and for loop. Also store the result in different matrix. In the next tutorial, we will be discussing about JVM, Java Virtual Machine and memory. We have class and then constructor, and finally we'll be discussing about method. Thank you one and all.